Hey, YouTube family, how's everybody doing? Today I wanted to talk about something that I didn't really want to talk about. I kind of stayed away from the subject purposely because the controversy involving this particular subject, and it is the deportation of veterans. Mostly, I'm talking about uh, immigrants that for some reason failed to do the proper paperwork to become U.S. citizens once they finish their term in the military service. I talked about this in a previous video. You can check that out if you want. But that's not really what this topic is really about, even though it is related. It is related to a story of a veteran, okay, who was arrested by ICE, but he is actually a U.S. citizen, and he is not a immigrant that failed to do the proper paperwork. And it really upset me when I found out the story, and I want to talk about that. Now, ICE to me they're going crazy. To me, they're very unprofessional. They don't really do any due process. They just snatch people, mostly people of color. It's racial profiling. I don't care what you call it. And they go to people's places of work. They actually wait for them in the courthouse when they're doing their legal process of the immigration status. In other words, they're documented immigrants. I thought we were supposed to go after criminals. I guess they ran out of criminals, and now they want to go after documented immigrants. You understand what I'm saying? Documented immigrants, okay? Not criminals. So, and they racial profile. They snatch you off the street. They snatch you out of your car. They separate a screaming mother from her baby. They wrestle people to the ground. They mace them. They beat the crap out of them. Okay, some of them have actually died in custody. Now, this is a story of not an immigrant. Okay, let me say this again. A U.S. citizen, a veteran who was on his way to work as a security guard. He was snatched out of his car and he was beaten up. Okay, he was maced. He was and put away for 3 days without actually having him call anybody, his family or lawyer, the guy kept telling them, "I am a U.S. citizen," but they didn't care. They didn't listen. There was no due process, man. But, I really don't understand the country that I live in. Okay, I fought for this country in Vietnam. I'm a veteran myself. I spent 20 years in the Army, and I swore an oath to the Constitution to defend against foreign and domestic enemies. I consider these people domestic enemies. Okay, when there is no due process and they don't even read you your Miranda rights, and they just snatch you off the street, is that what really these people voted for? Come on. I mean, it upsets me. I really didn't want to talk about this, and I don't like to rant in my videos. So I like to keep it simple. I like to keep it professional. You know, even though I am an amateur YouTuber, I still like to keep my things, in a professional manner. I don't really like to rant. But this really upset me. We're talking about one of our own, a U.S. citizen, a veteran, just because he has the wrong color skin, all right, was snatched out of his car. And I'm going to go ahead and read the story behind this. Is an article, a news article. So, bear with me while I read this thing. George Retes, a U.S. Army veteran and lifelong U.S. citizen, was swept up in a shocking display of government overreach while on his way to work as a security guard in Ventura County. Caught in the chaos of an aggressive immigration raid at Glass House Farms, federal agents surrounded his car, ignored his repeated claims of citizenship. You want you to hear this. Ignored his repeated claims of citizenship, smashed his window, used pepper spray, and hauled him off in handcuffs. He was detained for 3 days without charges, without a phone call, and without access to legal representation. This is illegal, folks. You can't do this shit. You can't just arrest somebody and you don't even read them the Miranda rights. A judge going to throw the damn case right out of the window if they find out they didn't even reach your rights. Retes says he intends to sue the federal government. I hope so. I hope he gets millions. And calling his treatment a blatant violation of his civil rights. While in detention, Retes said he was stripped of his belongings and denied basic dignity. He recalled being placed in a freezing room and given minimal food while being shackled at the ankles, despite telling officials multiple times that he was born in Los Angeles and has served in the U.S. military. No one listened. Instead, he says he was treated like a criminal and left in the dark for 72 hours with no information on why he was being held or when he would be released. Furious and unbowed, Retes is demanding answers and calling out the systematic failures that allowed this to happen. His experience throws a harsh light on how easily American citizens, especially people of color, can have their rights trampled when law enforcement operates without oversight. Until these enforcement agencies are held accountable and lawsuits like Retes lead to reform, no one, not even a U.S. Army veteran, is truly safe from sanctioned injustice. Excuse me, folks, still trying to give it his goal. So, there it is, man. That's our democracy, huh? I mean, I can't believe this. Whatever happened to, basic dignity and due process? You don't even read him his rights. You snatch him like he's a stone cold criminal. And I just don't get it. I mean, they wear masks. They're cowards. They don't want to show their face. If you have to work at a job where you got to wear a mask, like you're a thug, come on. They must be telling you something. Really? I mean, is that really professional that you wear a freaking mask? That you have to hide your identity. When police arrest people in the street, okay, do they wear a mask? No. When the FBI arrests people in the street, do they wear a mask? No. Why in the hell does ICE got to walk around wearing masks? And there's a amount of time before they walk into somebody, like for instance, Florida. You got your stand your ground laws where you're allowed to carry, and if you feel threatened, you're allowed to use deadly force. What happens when they come upon somebody like that, and the guy doesn't think, he's not really thinking straight, he pulls out his weapon because he sees a bunch of guys in masks, he's going to start shooting, okay? And of course, they're going to kill him, and that's exactly what's going to happen one day. Okay, when ICE agents stop dropping because people are defending themselves with deadly weapons, maybe it'll stop. But this is crazy. And again, man, excuse the rant. I don't use this channel to rant, and forgive me for that. But that really upsets me. This is not, when we're talking about an immigrant that served his time in the military and got deported because he failed to do the proper paperwork. And even that is messed up because I don't believe in leaving anybody behind. If you serve your country and you sign a blank check, even to the point of giving up your life, okay, and some of these people, they served in combat, even are Purple Heart recipients, and they got deported. That's another issue. But now you're grabbing a U.S. citizen just because of the color of his skin, and you're assuming this guy's illegal, beat the crap out of him, not give him due process, not let him call a lawyer, not let him tell his family that he's okay. And then find out later, oh, sorry, we found out you're a U.S. citizen. The guy was telling you that you should have done that right away. You should have just, chilled out, investigate, look at his identification, and to see if he's telling the truth. But no, you got to be idiots, okay? Because most of you, I believe, are a bunch of freaking racists going around. You love doing this shit. You volunteer to be ICE for the simple reason that you just want to pick on people of color, okay, and claim you're doing your freaking job, okay? Like I said, I swore an oath to defend the Constitution against foreign enemies and domestic. To me, these are domestic enemies. They're not upholding no law. It's bullshit. Okay? So, hey, it is what it is, and that's my rant. Apologize again. Take care, folks. Until the next video.